Shrishti Bahl from Mountain House Matters, and today we're here with Bernice Tingle, who is also from the Mountain House City Council. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us today. We're filming a segment for MoHoTV to help residents learn more about their city leaders, and I would love to ask you a couple quick questions about your role and the perspective on the community. So first, to introduce yourself, Bernice, can you explain your role and background, like how many years you spent in this role, for the listeners?
First of all, thank you, and it's an honor to be able to speaking with you today. My name is Bernice Tingle,
Mhm.
and I am proud to serve on City Council. I've been in this role, actually started as a board of director
Mhm.
for Mountain House in 2008 to 2024. So that gives me 16 years with board experience. And 2024 to now, that gives approximately a year and a half on City Council, our first City Council. Um, and I've been spending a year and a half on City Council now. And right now, I'm currently serving as vice mayor. As working in the city and being a servant in the city for 16 to 17 years now,
Mhm.
I also have been working with the youth in our city community from 2010 until current.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and it gives us a great background on yourself and your work and the experience that you have. And I'm sure that this experience will be reflected throughout this interview. And I'm very excited to speak with you on many of these topics that we have today. So, question to you is, what inspired you to serve on the city council?
It's twofold. Um, the fact that I had been serving on the board of directors, and I kind of consider that as council when we were a special service district. But service is my primary reason why I get involved in anything. I like serving, I like helping. But one of the things that I've continued to run or ran for city council is
Mhm.
for the continuity for the mayor and I have been on the board since its inception, and just some grounding and some purpose and scope of how we started and some things that have come into play.
Mhm.
One of the reasons that I continue to serve and want to serve is that I do believe in Mountain House, the vision, and I really have the time and the energy to want to be there to serve, to ensure that things go forward as the community has planned, as the board has planned, as the city has planned, in order to have the people who move into Mountain House for the reason they move to have those dreams and visions realized. I know when I first moved to the Tri Valley, I moved to Pleasanton many years ago when Pleasanton was brand new. They had a master plan in a city, and it was just starting out. And I depended on other people who had the time and the energy to serve to ensure that my dollars invested in my community would grow and flourish to be all that people have invested and wanted to be. So it's like a give back, and that's why I consider that service.
I think that's really cool that you were able to, bring that perspective, and it really allows the residents to see why you're serving and how cool it is that you've had this experience before. And like I said, I think it's really cool that you've had 16 years. That's quite a lot. So, I think one thing you mentioned in your answer was about missions, which tied back perfectly to my next question. So, the mission and the values, or like the vision you see for Mountain House as it approaches its first birthday, what are the priorities that you see in the next coming years?
One of the priorities, and with a board, we're five different individuals and we work cohesively together. But one of the visions that I see was that number one, that we build partnerships. We
Mhm.
work together to build partnerships within the board and other organizations. But what I see as a vision is to continue to live out the master plan, the general plan, to live those things out and stay on track with what the initial vision was, because that's what people bought into. Villages, they bought into having quality homes throughout, no matter how many neighborhoods we have. The house plans may be different, but the quality is still there. The
Right.
schools that are centered in the center of each community, that you can go from village to village, but you're going to run into the same thing in each village, and that's going to be quality.
Mhm. So thank you so much for sharing that. One thing that I do wanna ask you to switch gears a little bit, is that what are you excited about for the city's future, and how can this council help?
What I'm really excited about is, for the future for our city is that since going to be responsible for everything now, that we stick to financial stability. That is
Mhm,
really important for us to uh, stay focused on the budget.
right.
They stay financially sound
Mhm,
and adhere to the general plan and our original master plan. And in order to do that, we need to focus on the things that we found. You learn by history.
mhm,
Water is one of the things that have been important, that we keep our hands on the pulse of things that have happened before to ensure that history doesn't repeat itself. That we always, and I call it a savings plan, but to me, that's adhering to uh, a a capital improvement fund. To me, I translate that as a savings account that we put aside and plan things accordingly and stick to our strategic plan. And that's what I'm excited about doing. Not only just living out the vision for our town, or vision for our city, and I have to get used to calling it as a city and not a town,
right.
because since we'll be responsible for everything,
Mhm,
I'm excited too about finding out what the community wants,
mhm,
because it's our city
right.
and we're just the person that takes the sound bits of information, run it through the budget, put it in a logical order, and live out what people want for their tax dollars and their investment.
Mhm,
Because living here is a wonderful city,
right.
but it's an investment, and you want to make good for your kids, your future. And this was a place where you would be able to live,
Mhm,
play, and work and live out those things. And those really things are really important to me, to do things that are going to meet that objective of a place where you can live,
mhm,
play, and work.
mhm,
And to bring it to then, I guess to really answer the question is that my personal vision is to bring about more jobs and opportunities for the residents that live within our boundaries,
mhm, right. I
because
think
that satisfies the work element.
right. I think the way that you frame that answer, it really shows us that exactly what you wanted us to see, that you are a type of person that loves giving back to your community and you're very passionate about it, as I can tell. So, what I did I want to ask you is that what are some challenges that Mountain House might currently be facing or may face in the near future, from your own insight on that inner circle, um, and if there is any challenges from your perspective?
I did slightly hit upon it. One challenge is that we have to keep our eye on the water.
Mhm,
We are or have plans to grow in a population that's a little bit greater than what we started with. But keeping in mind, we do have water. We have a long term pre water rights contract with BBID,
mhm,
1914 pre water contract. However, as I say, history repeats itself, to always keep our hands on the pulse, that we need to be cognizant: more people, more water. One of the things, and I may be going ahead and kind of reel me in if it's not really answering your question, but one of the things that are very important is economic development, bringing jobs here, bringing businesses here. Now, when the city was first designed over 30 years ago, it was a situation that everybody was doing things
mhm,
differently.
mhm,
People weren't working from home. There were more big boxes. There were more warehouses. And as you see, we have a warehouse here, and right now it's underutilized. But many times on some things, you have to be able to pivot and adjust to what's going on. And our
mhm,
adjustment is that people are doing things differently, but still, we need to find out from the residents here, what will people support as far as businesses coming in.
mhm,
I'd like to one day to see Mountain House as not being a pass through, but being the destination.
right,
And to make that clear, is that we have things here that people want to buy,
mhm,
uh, food or restaurants here that people want to go to, that we become a destination rather
right.
than a pass through, if that makes any sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Uh-huh.
But
So
that's the way that we can bring revenue
mhm,
into our county, because in my personal opinion, is that we'll thrive, but we will thrive better if we have other things that we're depending on other than the property tax, the small percentage that we give the property tax, we need other means of revenue.
Mhm.
And we need to bring in, and as a council, I think we need to actively work on what can we do to incentivize. And when I say incentivize, I
Mhm.
mean what we could do to help, if you will, help new business starting up. Because everyone knows when you have any business endeavor, it takes 3 to 5 years before you're even profitable.
Right.
But help businesses get started, because once they get started and grounded, it's payback time. People will use them. It brings in revenue, because we do get for the sales tax. We would it would That's how we really would build our budget, with sales tax dollars, and that's what I'm looking for. We do have some businesses here, and what I do like, between the chamber and the residents, we do try to support the businesses that are within Mountain House, because when our neighbor is doing good and the business is doing good, we're doing good.
Right. I think, thank you so much for sharing that. It does give all the listeners, like all the residents, like a great insight of what Mountain House can like improve in. What obviously, like you said, we are thriving, but we can always do better. And I think that's a very great point of yours, and definitely something that the audience should know as people that live in Mountain House. So, as we go towards the next, like towards the end of this interview, I do have a couple more questions to ask you. So, one would be, are there any personal favorite accomplishments of yours that you would like to share with the listeners today, just for them to kind of get to know you as a person outside the city council that Mountain House has achieved over this last year?
This is over the last year, not over our lifetime, but over the last year.
It can go both ways. You can choose either way.
Well, one of the things that I am proud of in Mountain House is that I'm proud of the fact that we have the youth in our community, and that's one of the drivers that I think our home sales are so great.
Yeah,
This is an excellent place to raise family, to raise children, and the our school here is probably number two in California.
yeah,
And the reason I'm saying that is that when you have a good educational base,
yeah.
that helps bring in people coming in. And one of the things that I enjoy is that over the last 15 years, I have been working with the Youth Action Committee.
Mhm,
So I not only do I hopefully I inspire the kids, but the kids inspire me. You
mhm,
find out what it is they want, because that's our future. And let's face it, the way that the price of homes and wages are now, and jobs, uh, young people stay in the house and home longer than they did, let's say, generations back.
right. Mhm,
So families stay together and bond together more. And I'm saying that is because right now in Mountain House, we're raising our future leaders. We're raising now and inspiring the kids that will be uh, starting to lead now in the 15 years that I have been over the youth group. And that's what I'm really proud of, because
yeah,
I'm proud to watch them grow. I'm proud to watch kids in this community, not on their GPAs are
mhm,
so great, but they're intellectually smart. They give wonderful presentations.
mhm,
They have, um, they follow governmental processes. So they're learning how to affect and make things happen.
right.
And that's one of the things that I'm proud of, is that I'm proud of our future. I see really hope in the young people coming up, and since they know how governmental processes works, it gives a grounding, because they'll fall right in line when something has to happen. They know the protocol and procedure on how to make it happen. They stay involved in a lot of and I'm not going to say politics, but a lot of the different agencies that we have. What the congressperson does, what the assembly person does. And these people come out and talk to the community and focus on the youth too. And I'm really proud of that. I see more of that really in the last year, of more hands-on from outside agencies.
Mhm. I think it's very inspiring to hear you talk about the youth, and as someone who's part of the schools and like a high school student, I can definitely see, all these changes throughout the years that people, students are getting more involved with the outside world and getting that experience at a young age. And I think it's really cool that we have leaders like you to look up to. And so, as this, we approach the end of our interview, I do have one last question to ask you. So, with your level of experience, like you said, those many years that you've worked as a city council member or like as a member of the city, what is one of your best pieces of advice that you would like to give residents who may be interested in public service?
Well, there are some things, and thank you for asking that. To me, transparency is extremely important.
Right.
Letting people know what's going on when we find out things, to
Mhm.
let the community to know, because
Yeah.
we are just the mouthpiece for the community. So
Right.
transparency, so everyone know what's going on.
Mhm.
Community engagement is really important to me. I like to see that, and having regularly quarterly informational meetings, and by village would be good. A couple
Mhm.
of the residents have brought that up, and I think that we need to keep our eyes and ears open to what residents are saying, because we are part of the residents.
Mhm.
Before, if anything, I may be on city council, but
Yeah,
I'm also a resident.
of course.
And
Mhm.
what the residents say are really important, because, as I keep emphasizing, it's our city. But
Right.
having people know that they can come to the council, they can make their voice known and take an active part. If you take an active part in something, there's more buy-in, and then you're working toward the good of all. I
Mhm.
think that in listening to what the community says, since we are a city, this
Mhm.
is a animal friendly city. I
Yeah.
think that we should start to put in our strategic plan,
Mhm.
getting more input from people, how we would want to line up dealing with animal control, animal shelter, because that seems to be something that the city is interested in. And
Yeah.
really, I'm interested in, as a servant, I'm interested in what my neighbors, and when I say neighbors, I'm talking all of
Yeah.
Mountain House, what my neighbors are interested in. That's what I'm interested in.
Mhm.
All I am is a piece of conduit.
Mhm. I think thank you so much for that great piece of advice. I'm sure that everyone listening, found that very inspiring, and I think that you're right. There are many aspects like that or have been brought up, and I think that animals, like, is a great way to, like, start too, and if that's something that the residents are interested in, then I definitely see your point. So, thank you so much, Bernice, for sharing your thoughts and time with us today. This will really help the residents, feel connected to their city government and get to know who's on the city council and what their inspirations and what their mission and vision is with Mountain House. And we really do appreciate everything you do for the Mountain House community.
And I thank you so much. There's one last thing that I like to say, that everyone in Mountain House is important.
Uh-huh.
And I will respond just
Mhm.
as quickly to a request that comes in from a young person as I will for an older person, or an adult in the community. Everyone is important, and everyone should be heard.
Of
So I
course.
don't. Everyone should be heard, listened to, and adhered to, and go on record and being listened to, is what they suggested they might have,
Mhm.
because we learn from everybody.
Mhm.
If you listen to enough sound bites, you'll learn something from everybody that you speak to. Some people you have to learn or listen to a little bit longer. That's supposed to be a joke. But
Yeah,
normally,
of course.
but you can learn if you take the time. You can learn from everyone, and everyone has interesting sound bites.
I think that's a great note to end this interview on, and it really does capture your true intentions. And I think it's, again, like a great way to close this interview. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts today, Bernice.
And thank you for your time.
Of course.